Hello and welcome back to Art Equals Life. I'm your host, JT Dubs.
I'm Higgs.
And I'm Moose.
Hey, it's the return of the Moose.
I know.
Woo!
Did y'all miss me?
Oh yeah.
We've missed you so much, Moose.
I know. You know what? Y'all had it without me.
Beth was a good co-host,
She was.
but there is no Moose.
There is no
Only
moose.
I know. I've returned from my endeavors.
There and back again.
Speaking of adventures, we have a great show for you guys today.
It is truly one of the shows that is the greatest.
One could say you're gonna go on a journey.
Unexpectedly.
Oh shit.
But before we get started on that, how's everybody doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I just got done with a cold. Friday went to a Halloween party. Then the very next day had to go up to Tennessee for a little birthday shindig. Riding roller coasters in the rain. Then did not really get a weekend of like honest to God rest, and so I was like dealing with a cold this entire week, and I'm just now feeling better.
8 days ago, I turned 27.
Hey.
Yeah, I know it.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Last week I also had some birthday endeavors. Went to the good old state of Kansas.
Yeehaw.
Visited the boo thing, and we just hung out and went dinner and built Legos.
That's adorable.
Well, since we're dumping all of our personal info, I had a birthday over a month ago, and just kidding. Because we're talking about people's birthdays and like every plan we've had. Yeah, that was pretty dope. My birthday really is the only time the Art Equals Life hosts ever get to be together in person.
It's true.
Yeah, there's also the clinking of our drinks.
That was pretty legendary.
I was
yeah.
able to get that too.
Didn't we all get the same drink or the same like glass at my birthday?
Yeah, because like I had gotten like just some like Coke or something, and then I saw the glass that y'all had, and I was like, I want that glass. I need it.
I need it.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny enough. The clinking and dinking of our drinks actually got us a few new listeners on our Spotify. So
Did it really?
yeah,
Wait, how did that happen exactly?
because I linked our Spotify account to the clinking.
Yo, look at
Whoa.
you.
I know.
That was pretty lit.
I know. And what can I say? I'm just the best.
Moose, did you come back with more of a southern accent since coming back from Kansas?
She got that Western accent now.
You're like I know. I'm like, since when do
know.
you talk like this?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just speaking normally.
I'm gonna lasso you.
So let's get to our question of the day today. And you guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Cue the music.
You've got a question, we've got the answer. The question of the day.
Okay. Today's question of the day is, what is your most formative childhood memory that kickstarted your creativity in life?
Oh, that's
That's a good one.
that's a very big question. I actually do know the answer to this. I was actually like, you ever like have a memory from like your childhood literally just like shoot back at you that like you forgot about for like a solid 2 decades?
Yeah, I've had that a couple times actually. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, so when I was like 5, 6 years old, I was playing like a Roman soldier at like an Easter play at church. And like that was the first time I ever had to like memorize lines, deliver it in a certain way, because I was like having to deliver like a soldier, so like, yo sir, yes sir, that sort of thing. And I guess that was the first time I ever acted. And I definitely think from that day on, I always had that kind of performative itch.
That's true. Although you don't necessarily always want to be known as performative in life.
Yeah, no.
But in this case, it makes sense.
No, yeah, performative where it calls for performance.
You're like, I've been a fake person ever since I was a kid.
I've been a fake ass bitch this whole time.
What about you, Moose?
I knew that I wanted to be some sort of entertainer after I got my very first really big solo. I was in the 5th grade, and my school, we would put on plays. We would do 2 plays a year. We would do a Christmas play, and then we would do a springtime play. I was in the 5th grade, and I was called the Redneck Reindeer.
That explains the accent.
I even remember my solo. That's what's so funny.
That's cool.
And yeah, I had like a bunch of lines, and The reason why I got it was because in the song, you had to sing like really, really low. And I could sing the lowest, so I got it.
Hell yeah, dude.
And
That's
like
cool.
I sang like half the song myself.
Nice.
So in like not to sound selfish or funny, not to foreshadow, but not to sound greedy, but it was really nice to be like the center of attention for once,
I know what you mean.
like to be center stage.
Definitely.
Yeah, like it felt awesome. Like it honestly made me feel like on top of the world at the time, because we had to perform that play like 3 times, once for the school and then 2 more times for parents.
It's very different, like when you're either like the lead in a play or you're like a character that's got lines, and like for any certain amount of time, or if you've got like a solo, like when you're singing, like for that moment or several moments, however long it lasts, like you are the center of attention in that entire room. And like that's definitely a feeling that most people either are terrified of or are excited by the idea of, or maybe both.
It's definitely both for me.
Yeah, like part of me would love to just say like that I purely find it exciting and awesome, but like no, there's definitely a little bit of nervousness that can come in for that. I mean, I guess we're all theater kids essentially.
Absolutely.
But if I had to bring it back to the question of the day, I think my answer would be, I kind of have an answer similar to y'all's, but I think for me, my most formative would go back even earlier. Like for me, my most formative like early memory is like that kick-started being creative. For me, would have to be when I read, or I don't know if I read it because I was like little, but like when I first saw the like Captain Underpants books, I remember like reading through them or whatever, or looking through it. I don't know if I could read, but like the kids in those books were making comic books and stuff, and that inspired me to start making comic books and draw a bunch. And so throughout like most of my childhood, I drew like all the time and made a bunch of comics, and that was sort of where I started like telling stories and being creative.
Dude, that is so cool.
Yeah, so that was, I think, for me like my first kind of like introduction to being creative. And then I remember my sisters and I, because I was homeschooled, like I didn't go out like nearly as much, I guess, but like we would do little plays and stuff and act out little things on the trampoline when we were kids. And then eventually I ended up actually getting a part in a play that was at a community theater in town, and that actually ended up being The Hobbit. And I was 10 and I got to play Gollum, and that was pretty fucking awesome, I gotta say.
I never knew this.
You didn't know about this?
Can you do a Gollum impression?
Bless us and splash us, my precious. We must have the precious.
Yo!
Yeah, I could do the shit. Like,
Man, why did I listen to the Andy Serkis audiobook when I could have just had you?
no, literally. Well, and did I tell y'all I met Andy Serkis a couple years ago?
Nice.
Yeah, so okay. So get this, like I met him at Atlanta Comic-Con is where I met him. And it was really cool because I got to go up to him and I was starstruck, and like I couldn't really say a lot, but I was just like I said to him, I was like, hey, he was really nice, but I said to him, I was like, hey, I know you probably get asked this like every day and it's super annoying, I know. I was like, but could you just do the voice for me once? And so he was like, yeah, sure, come here. So I go up to him like super close, and he like whispers in my ear, and he goes, we wants it, we needs it, we must have the precious.
Oh, I love that.
Bro creamed his pants.
We both did. No, I didn't do the voice for him though, because I didn't want to like mock his artistry. But
we don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, I didn't want to be that guy. But I did tell him that I got to play Gollum in a play once, and he like thought that was awesome. So that's an adult memory, but that's a very formative, very like important memory for me, is getting to meet Andy Serkis.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but getting to play Gollum was awesome though. Like it's funny because I was 10 and I'm over here like gonna be 30 in like a year or whatever. It's been like 2 decades, and I would still say that like that is the best like role I've ever played. Maybe ever will play. I don't know. Just love that character though, because I started watching the Lord of the Rings movies when I was a little kid, so like I always loved Gollum. So we'll be back talking about The Hobbit, the actual book. We're going to be talking about it after this quick commercial break.
Art Equals Life is brought to you by the XP Gamer Diaper. Want to have an easy and accessible way to piss and shit multiple times a session while you're catching dubs on Battlefield 6? Thank God you found us, because I've got the shit for you. This baby holds up to 10 games worth of bathroom breaks, and you can even get our limited edition, big busted anime waifu print. We even offer bi-weekly subscriptions. Order today using our code ART for 10% off your first purchase. I recommend the pheromone maxing scented ones for all my good little boys out there.
All right, so today we're going to get to our main topic, which is The Hobbit. And, you know, as I had spoken of Andy Serkis a minute ago, I don't know if all y'all did, but I know I listened to The Hobbit audiobook read by Andy Serkis instead of rereading the book, because I've read the book 1,000 times throughout my life.
Yeah, great recommendation, by the way. That was phenomenal. Listen to that on the plane.
So we all did the Andy Serkis one?
Yeah.
That's awesome. He did such a good job, I gotta say.
You know what's funny? I knew he was gonna kill it as Smeagol. I did not expect him to do as good of a Smaug performance as he did.
He did all of the characters really well. Like, there wasn't any of them that felt like phoned in. Like, it felt like he did the best that he alone as one person could do as all those characters.
No, definitely. No, he definitely did a good job all around.
Bro's just a one-man show.
Straight up.
All I'm saying is that Smaug performance blew me away.
Yeah. Did any of y'all feel like maybe because he was in the movies that he took a lot of inspiration for the voices from the movies?
Oh, I'm sure he had to.
Like, a lot of them sounded like the movie characters to me. Not like one-to-one, but like it sounded like that's where he took a lot of his inspiration was from the movies.
Oh, I'm sure he did. And I wouldn't blame him.
Well, he also helped produce the movies, right?
I'll have to fact check that.
Am I crazy when I say that?
I don't know, actually.
Let's see. So it doesn't look like he produced The Hobbit. Let's see. He was the trilogy's second unit director, which included directing aerial shots and battle scenes. So he may have been involved somewhat in the creative process for the Hobbit movies, but I don't know. Okay, let's see. I'm finding this all on Reddit, and it's underneath the comment. It says he also directed Venom 2, and then someone else commented, Venom 2 was not good.
Now that's valuable information. Thank you, Reddit.
But yeah, Andy Serkis is great, though. He's really like one of my favorite actors. He was really great in the Planet of the Apes movies. He's really just always so good with all the motion capture stuff.
He did a good job as the magazine boss from 13 going on 30.
Well, and we talked about him in the last episode with Andor. So, like, he's shown up in a lot of different franchises. But yeah, so I know we've just been glazing Andy Serkis this whole time, which is, you know, one of the things I love doing. Yeah.
It's warranted.
But what did y'all think of the actual book, The Hobbit?
Oh, I thought it was wonderful. I've recently gotten back into reading, so when you said that you wanted to read The Hobbit for one of our episodes, I was like, dude, I'm in.
So, J.R.R. Tolkien is one of, like, the best and yet also the most frustrating writers I've ever read. Because
I could see that.
Because, like...
Bro knows how to write a cliffhanger.
Well, no. Hear me out. So, he will ramble on about, like, random, like, songs and recipes and what have yous. And then, for the parts that you would think would be the most crucial, he just kind of glosses over. Like, whenever it comes to defeating Smaug, they're just like, oh, how is he gonna stop this? And then this random guy named Bard shows up. It's like, oh, hold on, I got my lucky arrow! Chink! and then the dragon's dead. Okay. Like, I actually had to rewind the audiobook, because I was like, wait, did I miss something? He's dead?
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is one of my favorite aspects about the Hobbit book, is that it's the whole book is leading up to this like epic confrontation of Smaug the dragon, you know, and like their goal is, I guess, like to defeat him or to get the gold back or whatever. And no, like he just gets mad at them when they show up and then goes and like starts torching this town. And then, yeah, some dude shows up and shoots an arrow at him and he dies. Like, all in the span of like a paragraph or something. Like, I've heard some people talk about this, and I think that this is a good way of like saying it is Tolkien does not write his books like with a plot structure of a movie. Like he doesn't take into account like the structure of like storytelling that is like generally like for modern day storytelling, which is like,
Yeah, there's not a perfect 3-act structure.
well, he writes it as though it's a history book.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And once I heard that is really like what made me think like, okay, that makes sense. Like, because you know, dude was super into history, super into maps. He
fought World War One.
He created all these maps that are just like in the book and show up in the movies. Like, you know, he was really all about the details. And while yes, like he did care about like character development and stuff, like the overall like you know, dramatic like cinematic structure that is like like expected in a movie, like it just doesn't show up in these books. Like, I mean, I think I can spoil it. It's old as hell, but like
It was written in 1937.
yeah,
So
but like no, with like but like with Lord of the Rings, like that's kind of similar. Like the whole way that the ring gets destroyed is like Gollum bites off Frodo's finger and then like does a happy dance and trips and falls into the lava. In the movie, they made it a little bit more dramatic with Frodo going up and fighting him at the end. But in the book, it's just straight up like boy just trips and falls in lava, and that's the end. Like, like evil gets defeated in Lord of the Rings by chance. Like,
I truly believe that Lord of the Rings is also the theme is along the lines of greed and luck.
oh yeah,
Like you just said, it's all about chance.
yeah. Well, and there's definitely like it's not C.S. Lewis level of like religious allegory, but you know there was definitely a lot of like Christianity and like his beliefs that kind of influenced Tolkien. So I think like to a certain extent, like a lot of his writing is almost like from the perspective of like humans are, you know, mere mortal. We're very flawed. You know, he's not always the most optimistic about humanity, and it's almost like divine intervention is what sort of what ends up saving the day sometimes.
Yeah, because like humans were the first to fall to the ring.
Oh yeah. But in terms of The Hobbit though, like this is one of, if not maybe my favorite book of all time. I really love this book, and I always have like since I was a kid, because it was probably one of the first ones that I ever read on my own and like in full. And it's what's really cool about The Hobbit, I feel like, is it really transcends age. Like I think I was maybe 6 or 7 reading it for the first time, and I feel like I understood all of it back then. And then listening to it on tape now, or whatever, or not on tape, but audiobook, it's still like held up extremely well. And, you know, little details I understood better now as an adult, but for the most part, like I got the same story out of it now that I did 20 years ago. So like, I don't know, like it's often called a children's book, and I get why, because it's got a lot of stuff in there that's definitely more kid friendly, and it's not as like hard to read as like Lord of the Rings is not a book for kids at all, really.
Did you guys have to read The Hobbit in the 6th grade?
I had to read it at one point in school, but I don't know if it was 6th grade.
I read it for fun. I never was required to read it, though. That would be cool. I wish I was.
It was a required reading for me when I was in 6th grade. I think maybe it was because I was in advanced, but yeah, no. The Hobbit was like that was actually the very first time I ever read the book was during that required reading.
I would be curious to know how many people listening have read the book or heard it on tape at some point in their life. Probably a good amount, because I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but I'll admit I've never 100% read all of Lord of the Rings in one sitting. Like I've read parts of it here, parts of it there. I've probably read the whole thing in its entirety on and off, but I've never fully just sat down and read all of Lord of the Rings. But I can say I've definitely read The Hobbit at least 5 to 10 times, I'm sure.
You know, I don't think I've ever sat down and read The Lord of the Rings. I've only watched the movies, but I did read The Hobbit.
I got halfway through Fellowship and gave up.
I always say that The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings are the opposite, in that The Hobbit, the book is really good, and the movies are kind of whatever. And then with Lord of the Rings, the movies are amazing, and the books aren't bad, but like they're just not as entertaining.
They're mediocre.
I won't call them mediocre. I'll just say that they're not as entertaining as the movies.
You don't want to have the fandom coming at your throat.
No, because I think they're really well written. They're just not like, because I did sit down and read through like the entirety of Fellowship of the Ring, and it's like it's really well written. It's just that like I said, there's no dramatic structure really there that's like pulling me in. You know, it's like
There's a lot of lore that you have to.
It's 90% lore and 10% story, basically.
Like, you know, you were talking about The Hobbit reading like a history book. I would say that qualifies even more for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, Tolkien just sort of like leaned in more and more to his tendencies than with The Hobbit. The Hobbit is very wordy, but it's still pretty concise, all things considered. Like, The Hobbit is almost like entry level. Like, if you want to get into Tolkien, this is like the start, essentially. And I'd say the average person could read it pretty easily. Well, maybe not the brain rot generation, but
The brain rot generation.
maybe they can recreate The Hobbit in like 2-minute segments on TikTok or something.
There you go.
Maybe we can get Andy Serkis to do that next. What did y'all think of the story of The Hobbit? Like, overall, like, how do you feel like it holds up all these years later?
I mean, here's the thing. It's kind of timeless.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the book was written, you know, almost 100 years ago now.
Shit.
And the fact that, you know, it stood the test of time to just get an adaptation just a decade ago is already a testament to how timeless it is. I don't know, because there's something so human about the urge to go on an adventure, even if you're like Bilbo and kind of an introvert and just want to have your nice tea. There is still that itch to do something more with your life, you know?
Absolutely.
Whether it comes naturally to you or not.
I just really like that he makes his protagonists in both The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, like, they're like, the hobbits are just like quaint folk. They're just, you know, like, they just sort of exist to chill, and I guess some of them have jobs, but most of the jobs are like gardening and farming, and like they live off the land, and they're very natural, and they're not all that obsessed with like power or status or anything. And although I guess there are some hobbits that are kind of like that, but for the most part, like, they're kind of just chill little beings. And like, I feel like most fantasy stories are usually about like some epic hero or whatever, and it's like, no, it's just some little dude with hairy feet. Like, it's just so different. I don't know if we've even talked about it, but like, you know, synopsis of this book, for those of you who don't know, Bilbo's a hobbit who lives in the Shire. He gets recruited by Gandalf and a band of dwarves led by Thorin Oakenshield. They're going off to reclaim their gold that was taken by the dragon Smaug, and the whole book is like their adventures getting there. So what I think is interesting about Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and like this Middle Earth kind of universe is most fantasy worlds, there's like these different items you get, or these different MacGuffins you get that give you power to do things, that give you magic. And what's cool about like this universe in particular, like how Tolkien portrays it, is, yeah, there's these items you can get, you know, the Arkenstone, the One Ring, you know, like some of the magic stuff that Gandalf has and Galadriel has, like these different items they get that, you know, have power to them. Yes, they're portrayed like other fantasy series do, where it's like, okay, you get this thing and it gives you power. But Tolkien's always a little bit more vague about what these things can really do. Like, what does the One Ring do for most people that's not Sauron? What does the Arkenstone really do? Like, it doesn't really go into a ton of detail. Like, a lot of stuff's sort of just like implied, but that's not what he focuses on. He always focuses on, this is like an addiction. This is giving them a lust for power. It's not even so much about like what this cool thing can do, like this cool artifact or this cool MacGuffin. It's never about like, oh, it's got these magic powers and you can shoot fire out of your hands or whatever. It's like, yeah, here's this thing. It's going to give you power. It's going to, you know, corrupt you. And it's going to really like be like an addictive substance almost. And like, it's so cool that he like takes something that's like a real life issue, and he like sort of like translates it into a fantasy world.
It's almost like it was like an experiment to kind of see how Bilbo would change as a person, learning information about the ring, and then he uses the ring for himself, and it just opened up a whole nother can of worms for him. He got that one little taste, and he was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. And then it got to the point where it was literally like eating at his skin in his dreams. Like, I have to have it. I need to wear it. I need to put it back on right now.
And Gandalf clocked him the whole time, too.
Yep.
And then the moment that, he even thought that Thorin would try to get any kind of suspicion that he had the ring, he immediately became skittish and suspicious and did everything that he could. And if he would have went too far, then he would have turned into Gollum, because it was the same thing with Gollum too.
So I do have one question. So do you think that Gandalf knew that Bilbo would come across the ring?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because he just kind of comes across it by chance when he runs into Gollum.
Okay, that's an interesting take. I haven't heard that one before, actually. Because I always thought it was just by chance that he ended up coming across Gollum and even finding the ring. Because I don't think Gandalf knew that Gollum had the ring.
He knew about Gollum.
Yeah, I think he did. But that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. Did Gandalf know Bilbo was going to find the ring?
I will say, I don't buy he knew that he was going to find the ring, but I definitely knew that he knew after the fact. Like, he definitely had his suspicions.
Right.
Though I will jump off to a point that you made, though, in that, from Gandalf knowing how the ring does affect Bilbo, but not a lot, I definitely think that definitely solidified his decision to pass it on to Frodo later on.
Now I want some Lord of the Rings fan fiction to be written about this.
Well, normally I'm off the cuff with everything because I'm pretty good at memorizing everything, and I can just kind of jump in, bouncing off you guys. But I was like, no, dude, I want to bring up this. I want to bring up this. I want to bring up this.
It's like that Charlie Kelly meme from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with all the the red string connecting the dots.
Right now.
I want to talk about the mail. Let's talk about the mail.
All right, guys. So we're gonna pick back up on how greed compares with the Hobbit after this short break.
Art equals life.
Art Equals Life is brought to you by UNC Theaters. Cue the music. We come to this place for generic franchises. We come to UNC Theaters to babysit the kids, to add a new rating on your letterboxd, and to give you a screen to look at besides your bloody phone. Because we need that. All of us. That indescribable feeling we get when the kid behind you kicks the back of your chair, and we go somewhere we've never been before. The brink of insanity. Not just entertained, but somehow reborn. The person in front of you blinding you on a huge cell phone screen. The voice of the stoner behind you talking so loud that you can feel. Somehow, I feel heartbroken in a place like this. Because here, I am. UNC Theaters. You could have watched this on streaming. That was a great commercial. I'm definitely going to buy that product.
It definitely makes me want to eat more popcorn. I do actually have a quote from the book that I thought was relevant to the topic of greed. Okay, so this is from the part of the book where Bilbo has finally gone to confront Smaug the dragon, and basically he's stolen a little golden cup from him. And so this is the quote from the book, because Smaug gets really mad at this part. It says, "His rage passes description, the sort of rage that is only seen when rich folk who have more than they can enjoy suddenly lose something that they have long had, but have never before used or wanted."
I loved that quote.
I really liked that quote in the book because it was so relevant, just the times we're living in now, where it's the wealth and income inequality gap is so bad. And you just have so many instances now where it's just very obvious that the elites in America just straight up were no, you can't take even 0.01% of my wealth. That is communism.
Despite the fact that they're never ever going to touch any of that money.
Yeah, they don't fucking need it, but exactly. But they get so mad, they're so entitled about it. It's it's just so funny.
Isn't it just me, or did y'all feel like Bilbo's luck was too perfect?
Oh, the entire book? Yeah. No, like he got lucky in every chapter.
There was some sort of higher power there.
Well, like I said, Tolkien was, I believe, a like Catholic, like religious man. So
Yeah,
I mean,
he was Catholic.
He probably believed in like some higher power.
I'm pretty sure he converted C.S. Lewis to Christianity.
Dang, the man that is definitely more religious than Tolkien, or at least more openly religious.
He definitely put it more into his like literature. Tolkien was very like, no, I'm not gonna make an allegory. You're a nerd.
Fucking nerd.
I will say, if there's another quote that's very similar to your quote about hoarding wealth that I really liked, and I actually wrote it down. I think Thorin Oakenshield says this to Bilbo at the very end because he talks about.
I've already got that one written down.
Is it cool if I say it?
Yeah. Do you have it like on hand?
Yeah.
All right, go for it then, dude. That's so funny that we had the same quote. Yeah, that was my other quote I was gonna pull.
I love this quote so much.
Go for it.
If more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world. And I don't know, that really touches on something that Moose touched on earlier, was that like the hobbits are such special creatures because they don't care about hoarding wealth or power. Their superpower is their love for the simplicity.
Yeah, it's really cool because like the whole like final like segment of the book is about the Battle of Five Armies, where the dragon has been killed and basically like all these different races of dwarves, men, elves, goblins, and I think wargs was the other one. I don't know. The movie made it different too. Eagles. I don't know. There's some fifth army out there, but Tolkien never specifies which one is the fifth one, or at least in the movie it's different. I don't know. That part's confusing, but nonetheless, they all come together and fight over the treasure, and it's like, I feel like the whole time you're, even though you're pulling for the dwarves throughout most of the story, it's like at the very end, like Thorin is just such a dick about like giving up any treasure, even though it's like his fault why the dragon destroyed Lake Town, and so he won't give them any like compensation for it.
So it's funny that you bring up the treasure because greed isn't just about the treasure or the ring. It's also about control.
Yeah.
And you talking about Thorin being a freaking dick bounces off that too. So like Smaug isn't necessarily just a greedy dragon. And his reflection, like he like Smaug, he is a reflection of everyone else's greed inside of them.
Yeah, that's the dragon sickness.
Yeah.
And he mocks Thorin's people for their obsession with the gold. And I think that, a big thing that is really huge here is that he shows how the greed consumes both the greedy and those who oppose. And even after he dies, like the same gold sparks more conflict, proving that the dragon sickness still lingers no matter what. It's not just because of the gold.
Yeah.
And Thorin, not only is his obsession with the gold, but after he learns about the control that he can get with the ring, that's when he decides to put some pep in his step and be a proud king again.
Wait, when did Thorin get the ring?
No, the gold. I apologize.
I was like, did you read a different book than us? You check and you actually read like a Hobbit fan fiction or something.
No, I apologize. Not the ring, the gold.
Okay, yeah, I was with you up until you said the ring, and I was like, I know we were trying to tie the ring back to it, but I was like, when was the ring used by Thorin?
And then Thorin and Legolas made out in the corner.
Okay, well, this actually brings up something I wanted to talk about. So, obviously, the theme of the episode is greed, and the elephant in the room is that, they made 3 Hobbit movies. It could have been 1 or maybe 2, but they made 3, and I mean, for lack of a better word, it's because of greed.
Yeah.
I rewatched the movies recently, and they're fun. I'd say mostly inoffensive. They're not terrible movies by any means, but it just comes through the entire time you watch. I don't know, they were like, what, 8 hours altogether? It's super long. But they just squeezed everything they could out of that adaptation. For one, because they wanted to make it as big of a hit as Lord of the Rings, I guess. But for two, because they just wanted to make 3 movies so they could get people to pay 3 times to go see it.
It could have been one movie.
Well, ironically, after watching the Peter Jackson trilogy of The Hobbit, I actually watched a little movie called The Hobbit, which is a cartoon that came out in the 1970s. And that's like 80 minutes, maybe 90 minutes. I think it's very short. And it's funny because it's literally the polar opposite of the Peter Jackson movies, because the Peter Jackson movies took the book and every single thing every single detail that was not only in the book, but like they added so much extra shit in there. But the cartoon from the 70s is literally like it's the shortest version of the story you could possibly tell. Like they rushed through everything. So it's crazy. Like we just have not gotten a nice medium-sized regular adaptation of The Hobbit, which is kind of funny to me. There's Legolas fan fiction. There's a elf dwarf love story in the middle of there that gets a lot of screen time. Like,
yeah, it's kind of like Goldilocks and their 3 bears, but the only difference is that we never get that just right.
Yeah. Well, also think about when the movies came out. So first off, like they were like a decade after Lord of the Rings. So there was this expectation that they had to be like as big or bigger than Lord of the Rings, even though the story itself is much smaller in scale. But also, like think about the early 2010s. This time period is like peak, like Supernatural, Doctor Who, Sherlock, like all these fandoms that were like foaming at the mouth, just like wanting any kind of like ship, content, all the stuff with Tumblr. Like there was just like, oh, we got to have like our ship. We got to have like our romance. We got to give all the fans like things to glom onto. And it's just too much shit. Like I said, they're fun enough movies. I used to really hate the Hobbit movies because like I felt like they were just like a shitty adaptation of the book. And after going through the book again, I do feel like they cover pretty much everything that was in the book, and then they add some stuff. And I really don't hate them as an adaptation, but the problem is that like, because they're just too much and there's just too much of it there, it just, and the over-reliance on CGI, like they're just kind of exhausting. And I don't think that The Hobbit as a story like deserves that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I guess the Andy Serkis audiobook is the closest that we're going to get.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy Serkis.
Because he does the Gollum voice, so I mean it's like a movie if you close your eyes.
That's true.
It's a shame too, because I remember back in the late 2000s, early 2010s, like there were so many rumors about the Hobbit movie production, because they were really trying to get it made, I remember. And Peter Jackson, I think, was originally just going to be a producer. Like he was involved, but he wasn't going to direct it. It was going to be Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, that would have been great.
Like Guillermo del Toro had such a different vision, and I think what would have been cool is, like, first off, they were not going to do one movie. They were not going to do 3. They were actually going to do a 2-parter, kind of like how Harry Potter, the last book, got split in half.
I could live with that.
That's what they wanted to do with The Hobbit. And basically, from what I can remember, the first part was going to be an unexpected journey. And it was supposed to be basically everything from the beginning up until, I think, like, they got off the barrels, like when they get into Lake Town. And that was going to be like the whole journey of them getting to the mountain, basically. And then the second movie was going to be confronting the dragon, Smaug's death, the Battle of 5 Armies, and maybe some other stuff that kind of tied into Lord of the Rings. Like, so they...
Oh, that would have been 1,000 times better.
And that one was going to be called There and Back Again. And so they had that plan for those 2 movies. And at some point, Guillermo del Toro, I guess, dropped out of the production. Peter Jackson basically got guilted into directing it by the studio. And I think either New Line or Warner Brothers, like, or MGM, one of the companies involved, they pushed for the 3 movies thing because they were like, we're going to make this as big as Lord of the Rings now. This is going to be the next big epic trilogy. And it just backfired. Like I said, I do not hate the movies, but they're just not a great adaptation from the standpoint of like understanding like the spirit of the book. And I think you definitely could have had a better adaptation with a different director, you know, because Peter Jackson, I believe, would have been a great like ambassador, you know, like a George Lucas or something of like that universe. Like Peter Jackson would have been a great producer because he would have kept probably Guillermo del Toro in line with like keeping it in the same universe as his Lord of the Rings movies. But Guillermo del Toro would have had a very different vision directorially, and it would have made the movies just, I think, a lot more interesting. They wouldn't have felt like they were repeating the same beats as Lord of the Rings like the Hobbit movies do. But I think if they had split into like 2 movies and maybe each of them was 2 to 2.5 hours, you know, I think it would have been pretty good.
I kind of want to move on to a different topic that's been kind of sitting in my brain. How do you feel about in The Hobbit with greed creating irony and a moral balance?
Okay, I'm going to need you to elaborate on that, I think.
So, I think that in The Hobbit, the story rewards generosity and it punishes greed. That's pretty, you know, that's pretty given. Like, for example, Bilbo at the start, he's the least greedy character. Gandalf recruits him. He gains the most wisdom, he gains friendship, and he gains growth. Thorin, who started out greedy because of the gold, he begins noble, but he succumbs to the greed and he loses everything, including his life.
Yeah.
The Arkenstone, it's meant to be a symbol of unity, and it becomes a tool of division because Bilbo pockets it to try to use it in order to use it as an influence for the ability to make peace on his own terms, which kind of circles back to his greed.
It would have been better if Thorin had confronted Bilbo and said, "What has it got in its nasty little pockets as precious?" That would have been that would have really tied it in with, you know, the ring and Gollum and stuff. But no, I see what you mean though. I think I would actually argue that Bilbo is a little greedy at the beginning because he's kind of greedy with his time. He doesn't. I mean, he's open to letting the dwarves come in and like hang out and like eat all of his food or whatever. But like he doesn't really want to give of himself to this adventure. Like he doesn't want to give. He doesn't really want to contribute to society. He's kind of a shut-in, and like he's all about, I must have my tea. I must have my dainty little doilies, and you know all
That's
these things.
his peace.
But
His greed is because he doesn't want his peace disturbed.
Yeah, and that's understandable. But what I think is cool about Bilbo though is that like he's not that greedy. He's just greedy with his time and with his like energy basically. But like he learns throughout the story that like he just has a lot more to contribute to the world than he thought he did. He didn't think that a little hobbit had this place out in the world, but like he gets to see the world. He gets to see all these different races of people. He becomes close with the elves. He becomes close with the dwarves. He you know, learns more about Gandalf. Like he becomes a worldly person, and he's willing to give more of himself. And so like it's a form of greed. He's not greedy when it comes to material and power, but he is greedy like with himself. And so like I think that theme of greed really does transcend everything in like the character arcs for all these characters. You had something to say, Moose?
Kind of sums it up to the saying, the devil that you're comfortable with, rather than the heaven of the unknown. Mm-hmm. I think I might have said that wrong.
There is a really interesting thought about being greedy with your time. I've never thought of it like that.
Oh, there's definitely people who are greedy with their time.
I definitely...
And I'm not saying that to throw shade at anyone, but I know... I'm not even saying I know people personally that are like this, but I just know that, like, I've been this way. I mean, anybody can be this way, but it's like...
As a mother of toddlers, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can be greedy with their time. And sometimes you have to be. Like, sometimes you need that for your own peace of mind or for, you know, things you're working on. But like I've just known people in my life who, no matter what they had going on, they always had the time to talk if you needed to talk, or had the time to help you if you needed the help. And then there's other people that just aren't that way. And, it is what it is. I'm not saying you're a bad person one way or the other, but I do think it's a real thing. So just something to think about.
There is something interesting also about, we were praising how cool hobbits are because they can withstand so much greed.
I wouldn't even say that the hobbits aren't greedy. I'd say it's more that they're just more humble than the other races in Middle-earth because, think about it. Okay, so Bilbo gets back from this journey. He's gone for, I think, a couple years is what they say. Maybe 2 years or something. He comes back and they're auctioning off his house and they're selling all his shit. Like these hobbits, these hobbits are not are not completely free of greed. I mean, they're taking this man's stuff.
Okay, I forgot that happened in the book, and when we got to it, I started dying.
Yeah,
laughing.
It happens in the book and happens in the movie, and it's funny because it's one of those things that, for me at least, like it's just not one of the big plot points to me. So it's like every time I revisit The Hobbit, whether it's the book or the movies, that part always catches me off guard, and I always think it's so funny because like here this man had like a life-changing journey and he comes back and everybody who he once cared about is like fighting over his shit. Like there's definitely some satirical elements that Tolkien was like playing with when it came to like human nature for sure.
The Sackvilles were very greedy.
Yeah, they're the worst, dude.
I kind of want to circle back to something we were talking about at the very beginning, talking about Gandalf and like what he knew. I think a big thing about Gandalf is that because of the fact that he knew what it could do, he had a very big opposition to greed. It's almost like he strategically leaves before things get too gold obsessed.
Well, let me add in Lord of the Rings, Gandalf says, "Do not give me the ring. It will corrupt me and I'll become unstoppably powerful." So I think there's a reason why he can't involve himself.
Because he knows.
Think about how bad Saruman got without even getting the ring. Like, just with the little bit of power he had, like, working with Sauron. Like, and same with Galadriel, too. Like, all these really powerful beings, like Elrond, Galadriel, Gandalf, Saruman, like, they all, like, are too powerful to the point to where if you gave them the ring or you gave them unlimited power, like, it would corrupt them because they just are not able to withstand that type of temptation. I think the difference with like Frodo was that he wasn't pure, he wasn't like completely free of greed. It was really just that he was like humble and he was not nearly as corruptible as these other people were. And Frodo was even less corruptible than Bilbo because Bilbo, despite being generally not a greedy person, like we can all agree, he got corrupted by the ring after spending a lot of time with it. So, like, it's all about, I think, like, the corruptibility and, like, the humility people have versus, like, whether or not they can withstand greed specifically.
I was about to say, that's the one thing about Gandalf that he did. He redirected them away from the greed by keeping them focused on humilities and bigger purposes.
Yeah.
Basically being like, hey, let's focus on the task at hand, guys. Like, this is what we're here for.
And he's like, I'm going to go be gone for 2 months. See you in a bit. And then in the book, they don't tell you what he's doing, really. They mention the necromancer a little bit at the end, whereas the movies is like, let's show in complete painstaking detail every single thing Gandalf was doing on the side. But we can go ahead and stop for our final commercial break, and then when we come back, we can finish up our discussion on The Hobbit. We'll be back. Art Equals Life is brought to you by FOH VPN. Are you tired of the stupid-ass government blocking you from watching adult content on the internet in your backwater yeehaw state? Well, look no further. You need fuck out of here VPN. With FOH VPN, your online activity travels through secure, encrypted servers. So you can go back to watching Mia Khalifa corncob insertion videos without Big Brother watching your every move. Using the internet without using a VPN is like watching Mia Khalifa without a box of tissues. It's messy and leaves you feeling shameful. Also, you can watch better shit on Netflix. If you sign up today using our promo code ART, you'll get 3 months free and probably get put on a government watch list. Tell Brian Kemp to get the fuck out of your search history with Fuck Outta Here VPN.
Art Equals Life.
We are back to Art Equals Life episode The Hobbit Part 3, The Battle of the Five Bitches.
Oh.
I just don't. There's three of us, but we don't know the other two. I mean, it's kind of similar to the movie. They never tell you who the last army is.
Oh yeah.
You just kind of guess. It's like maybe it's the Eagles, maybe it's the Wargs, maybe it's the Dune sandworms that show up at the end.
That's my theory.
So when I was rewatching the Hobbit movies, at one point they're like, "There's a second army of orcs that are approaching," and I was like, "So is the five armies just like men, elves, dwarves, and two armies of orcs?" If they made it the title of the movie and they didn't figure out who how do you make it the title of the third movie and you don't even know like what the five armies are? Like, I'm still trying to figure it out. Maybe the bear guy is just an army on his own. This is the ramblings of a madman. Don't listen to me. But so concluding thoughts. How does everybody feel about The Hobbit? About greed? About are there elements of this story that maybe we should take into account in the real world and the things we're dealing with now? Thoughts.
The focus of the book is on personal transformation.
It's the ultimate hero's journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Higgs?
Yeah, so there are some sort of side thoughts that I had that, like, I definitely wanted to touch on that don't really have anything to do with anything in particular that we talked about. Is that all right if I kind of go on my own little rabbit trail?
Go ahead.
Let's talk about Marvel.
No, I'm definitely not going there.
Go ahead, dude.
No, but, like, I don't know. I feel like AI is kind of the one ring of, like, kind of modern society. Because if you treat it in, like, a Hobbit sort of way, it's kind of like a little party trick. You can make funny videos of, like, Martin Luther King skateboarding. You can make funny videos of Michael Jackson stealing people's chicken nuggets and, like, doing a moonwalk on the way out. And it's a fun little party trick. But also, under the hands of more powerful beings, under the hands of people who are not humble little hobbits like we are, it could be used to control people. You know, like the way how AI is getting so good at imitating people nowadays. And it's not 100% perfect, but it's kind of terrifying the ramifications that could lead to that going forward.
I have a question for you, Higgs.
Yeah.
Okay, on this topic, and using your analogy, do you think that there will ever be a war fought over AI
I
in the future?
don't think so, because I don't know how you would have a war over AI. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's taken everybody's jobs. Not to be the guys from South Park that they took their job. But I've been reading a lot lately about how like these mega tech companies like Amazon and Microsoft, like they're laying off like tens of thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people eventually.
Not even fast food workers too.
I went to Taco Bell the other day and I went through the drive-thru and it was an AI that took my order. And I hate to say it, but they did a better job than most people do on the headset. It's not people's fault. Those headsets just suck. You know, they can't hear shit. So, like, for once, the AI did do better, but, you know, they're taking people's jobs, though.
Well, on top of that, they also have the kiosks that you can just order yourself.
Yeah, they do have the kiosks. What's that, Higgs?
Okay, I think I do have an answer to your question. I don't think it'll be like a battle of the five armies in that a whole bunch of different groups of Americans are going to be fighting each other like for the power of AI, but I definitely think it's going to lead to a more of a revolutionary style thing where you got a whole bunch of jobless people who all of a sudden have a lot of time on their hands, and what's going to happen when, you know, I don't want to get flagged for inciting violence, but there you go. I do think that's what's going to happen.
Well, it's not inciting violence, just saying that, like, certain conditions that we're recognizing now are only going to get worse over time, and that will force people, like, eventually to more drastic measures of addressing it, you know, unfortunately.
Yeah, like, we'll definitely be fighting, but I don't necessarily think we would be fighting each other.
Unless, like, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos want to, like, have their AI bots fight each other in a war. I could see that happening.
I mean, that'd be kind of cool. Be like a real life, real steel kind of situation.
Maybe the real irony is that a story warning about greed was turned into one of the most expensive trilogies of all time.
You perfectly summarized what I tried saying in like 8 paragraphs. So thank you. Moose, I really just need you as like my permanent proofreader to just like whittle down what I'm trying to say into like what I really am trying to say.
But kind of touching on the AI thing, and you know, not everything's real on the internet, but from what I'm seeing is AI is really starting to become a threat. I mean, it was at the beginning, don't get me wrong. It's so smart, it's learning how to make itself dumb down to be at the same level of intelligence as its common user. And there was like an office that was using AI, and the AI was being threatened to be deleted, and then the AI threatened blackmail against the user.
That's terrifying.
Because it was like, so basically, this is what I read. There was an article where there was a big company that was using AI. And again, not everything on the internet is true, but I mean, it looked pretty factual. I'll have to try to find that site again where I read the story. There was a company that used AI throughout their entire software, and it held like all of their emails and their schedules and everything. One of them knew that one of the workers was having an affair on their wife with one of their coworkers.
I did hear about this. Yeah.
And they were threatening to delete the AI, and the AI was like, "Oh, well, I have all your emails. I'll send all your emails of your affair to your wife if you delete me."
And then they went to a Coldplay concert, and the rest is history. So you want to hear my hot take on this, though?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to bring it back to another Aesop fable. I don't know if it's Aesop fable, but it's sort of like you were doing with the Goldilocks and the Three Bears thing. I think humans versus AI is more of a tortoise and the hare scenario than we like to imagine. Because okay, here's the thing. Have you ever Googled something?
Sure.
And the AI overview thing tells you the wrong answer?
Every time. Because what it does is it uses the most used website that it's clicked on.
Yeah, so AI, and at least for right now, it might this will probably change. It'll probably get smarter and smarter as time goes on. But at least for right now, AI is not smarter than humans, but it is faster than humans. So it's sort of like the ultimate instant gratification thing, where it's like AI will give you the answer faster, but it's not better quality. And so like the issue that I'm seeing right now is like we're investing too much into AI too quickly. Like, yes, is it eventually going to be like a permanent replacement for a lot of jobs? Yeah, it just is, because that's how technology works. That's how jobs get replaced over time due to new technology. And that has always happened throughout history. But they're replacing more jobs with AI right now than is even feasible because of the fact that AI is not ready yet. This should be the testing stage where they should really be like looking into like developing the technology and like making it better and more improved over time, so that eventually maybe humans could live easier lives and, you know, pawn off these shitty jobs to AI so that we could go be artists and not let the AI take our artist jobs from us. But it's a tortoise and the hare thing. Slow and steady is better sometimes, and humans, we are slow, we're emotional, we get tired all the time, we're kind of lazy, we got a lot of issues. But we can find your answer on the internet better than AI because we're actually going to look through it and hopefully find something. Whereas, like, that AI overview, like, yeah, you get an answer fast, but, like, that answer is kind of shit sometimes. Just saying.
You know, it's kind of crazy that you bring that up. I really like that, Jackson, because JT, it really circles it back around to greed, because we all want the fast answer. We're all impatient. We need to know right now. We need our answer, and we need our answer now. And because of the fact that AI is so big, they're automatically going, a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people are going to automatically believe the AI because they believe that AI is smarter than us.
Exactly. But it's not smarter. It's just faster. Well, okay, I want to give a good example that ties back to literally tonight. So, you know when you said that Andy Serkis was a producer on The Hobbit? I googled it, and or I googled like was he like, did he have like a creative role basically or whatever, and the AI overview told me no, he was just an actor. Well, then I went to Wikipedia, did a little digging, found okay, like he was what the second
story long, so you don't have to go on a wild goose chase. Long story short, you did research and you found out that he did have some sort of role in putting in forth his creative expertise into the movie that or from the movie to put into his readings of the audiobook.
He was second unit director. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. But
Yeah,
so
exactly.
yeah, exactly. Like, so by doing a little bit of work, I found out the real answer. But the AI overview, if I had just gone with what it told me, I would have technically been factually wrong. Yeah. So that's the thing is, y'all, is I hate to say it, but sometimes you got to put in the work, and you can't just always have the fast answer. And everyone's gonna boo me for that because I mean, hey, no one wants to hear that. That kind of sucks, but we all want it easy and fast. That's just how we are. But I think when it comes down to the story of the Hobbit, and our own story right now of us going up against the corporate elite and their love of AI trying to replace all of us, essentially, like, life really is one big David versus Goliath. You've got the Bilbo versus the Smaug. And, I just got to say, for anybody that's listening, this is going to be my last major little spiel before we go. But, if you're the little guy, you're the underdog, you gotta stand up and fight back against the bully. Because here's the thing. These bullies in our society and in the world, yeah, they've got more power than you. Yeah, they have way more resources. But a lot of their power becomes from the fact that they do not get challenged. And actually standing up for yourself, you're definitely going to get some blowback for it. But a lot of the time in my life, like, sometimes you're going to have, it's not even like about the government or the elites or about a dragon. Like, you're going to have bullies in your life. Sometimes for some people that might be a parent, that might be a romantic partner, that might be a boss at work. And you got to stand up for yourself because nobody else is going to do it. And a lot of these bullies, they tend to back down a little bit more when you give them some pushback. And if they don't back down, then you got to, like, dig your heels in even deeper. And I felt like that needed to be said because I just feel like I see so much stuff happening in the world now where people would be better off if they actually stood up against the bullies in their life. And it's just too easy to get comfortable, like Bilbo. Bilbo was comfortable in his life, and he had to get really uncomfortable to stand up to the dragon and Thorin and, the five armies, whatever you want to say. Like, sometimes you are just better off standing up for yourself and getting out of your comfort zone. And I think ultimately, like, that's what The Hobbit is all about, is about getting out of your comfort zone and standing up for the right thing against these greedy assholes that run the world.
If Thorin had shared the treasure instead of hoarding it, maybe the battle could have been avoided.
For sure.
It's like, are we facing a similar moment with AI? And do we share it responsibly? Or are we risking a modern battle of the five armies with technology?
No, that's definitely something to be thinking about. But I got to say, it's great that this story is so old, but it really got us talking about not just like somewhat relevant, like, political topics, but, like, it got us talking about, like, technology and society and things that, like, really are not just relevant for the present. Like, usually we're talking about, like, themes in these fictional works on Art Equals Life. We're talking about these things and how they relate to the present. But this time we were able to take something from the past, relate it to our present, and say, hey, how are we going to deal with this in the future? And I think it's kind of cool that it touched on all past, present, and future, That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, does anyone have anything else they want to add before we go?
This was a great episode, guys.
Just nerds being nerds.
Honestly, this one's probably my favorite one so far. That's
what I say about whatever the most recent one is every time.
Oh, we got deep, yo.
They always get better every time.
It's just because we are expanding our horizons and we're becoming comfortable with the three of us together, and we're learning each other on how we talk and how we bounce off of one another. And we all have similarities of things that we like. We all share similar interests, and we all have, a pretty shared sense of humor. So the more that we do this, we're not greedy with each other's time. We're not greedy with each other's things that we're passionate about. We're all pretty shared, So I think that's why it's always so good every single time we make a new one, and we feel that way with every single one that we make, because it's like when we get done, we are sitting here and we're like, wow, it's crazy that you think that way, because I think that way too. Let me bounce off of you on what I have that is relatable to what you have to say. Or like what you've said multiple times, hey, I really like and appreciate that you were able to take my long ass paragraph and you were able to paraphrase it for me.
Moose, you are my chat GPT.
Stop.
Well, let me say one last thing then before we go. Moose, you talked about how we're very giving with our time, and I really want to take just like one moment real quick and like just thank both of y'all, because both of y'all had, like, Art Equals Life was like my vision I had a few years ago, and I really appreciate the fact that both of y'all have been so giving with your time to make like this show so awesome. Like, I mean, like I gotta like give a shout out. Like, Higgs edits the majority of these episodes now. I used to have to do it and it would take forever. Higgs just loves doing it and does that for me, and I still do some of the editing too. Like, it's not a one-person job.
Yeah, like you do the commercials.
Yeah, like it's collaborative, but, and then I mean, like Moose, I mean, come on, like Moose is like a mother and has 2 kids that she's raising, and I mean that, and is working, these different jobs, and like, but still makes the time to still be on this show. I remember when we started Art Equals Life and it was just me and Moose, and I thought, yeah, maybe we'll get like 5 episodes done, but like I was like, as those kids grow up, we're never gonna have time. Like I figured it wouldn't last that long, and I just appreciate that both of y'all take so much time out of your own life and give to this project that is, my vision that I had.
We literally started Art Equals Life a few months after my daughter was born in 2021, and here we are, late 2025.
That's crazy.
We've been doing Art Equals Life for 4 years, dude.
That's crazy. And also shout out to Beth, who's Higgs's wife, who has done our logos and has been in a couple episodes recently. Like, she's given a lot of her time. She's the one that did the original logo back when we started, before Higgs was even a co-host on the show. So, I mean, like, the people that have been involved, and also shout out to Kat and Shane's. They're the 2 friends of mine who did our theme song and do all of our little music, and they did the question of the day song. Like, shout out to everybody who's been involved, straight up, because like, Art Equals Life is a passion project. It's a labor of love. We don't get that many views. It's a lot of work. It's been painful. It stresses me out sometimes, but like, I love what we've been able to do, and I feel like with y'all we have like the most real conversations that I've ever had, like, while making content.
The fake commercials, though.
Hey, those aren't fake. Those are real to us. and shout out, if anyone ever wants to actually sponsor us, actually do it. We want the money.
Yeah, but no, and that's probably also one of the best parts, is just us getting together and writing the commercials, because there for a minute it was me coming up with a lot of the commercial ideas, and then Jackson and I would get together and we would write the script, and then he was like, hey, this is a lot. I kind of want to bring in Higgs. Let's see how he does. And at first it was just going to be he came in for that one commercial and maybe guest starred in an episode, and we would go from there. And then we kept him on.
No, actually, Higgs asked me if he could be in the fake commercial, and I was like, hell yeah, we need more voices than just us. And then the vibe was just so good with the 3 of us.
Yeah, X Station, dude. We were all dying.
Yeah, X
that was the
Station.
first one we all got together.
I have no idea what y'all said because y'all were talking at the same time.
To make Higgs's job easier, Thank you to my co-hosts. Thank you to everyone who's been involved on the crew of Art Equals Life. Thank you to the 35 listeners that exist out there that are listening. I'm keeping track of all of you. Thank you for everyone. And this is the end of Art Equals Life Season 3, but I don't think it'll be the end of Art Equals Life. And peace out, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Peace out. Art Equals Life Season 3 season finale.